never underestimate the power of reason. Good practitioners of reasoning are of the brightest minds. Believe it or not, but every time you engage in a conversation, you are in a position that requires reasoning. Naturally, men prefer to have each of life's scenarios work toward their favoring. Lest I mention, that's not how life generally operates. Moreover, a pursuant, unwavering approach to life should institute the threshold of independence. We know that it's easy to dismiss male behavior. Identifying it and analyzing the unparallels of male indicative behavior brings wisdom. Men are merely products of their environment. They were taught essentially from birth they are somehow superior unto all women. Furthermore, they've embraced the falsehood in the societal portrayal of women's incompetence. There is a sense of entitlement among them. But in all fairness, the male is continually bombarded with casual slogans, those for which contain misleading, unrefined characteristics involving womanhood. Try to examine your life experience, but as a man. In order to complete this exercise, assume the identity of a familiar male, particularly one of whom is aware of your mannerisms. The correlative function among you is reachable through good faith. Now, try to imagine encountering the constant, unhindered threat of your every essence. Add that onto virtually every form of influence around you. Most males will usually submit their will. While incorporating the hidden messages from his surroundings, you could rightfully declare that a sexually exploitative pattern of thought would result. Prolonged exposure to the sexual realm induces uncontrollable emotional behavior. Behavioral patterns transfer to addictive traits. The post-transition should incite the man's overall purposeful meaning. What I mean is that men, or anyone, can adopt a set of traits simply by routinely exercising their relative thought principles. Likewise, as a female, you are also indoctrinated toward believing a set of beliefs. Basically, men regard themselves as the potential villain. Women, however, tend to view themselves more or less as being victimized by male dominance. The volume of frustration mainly leads to uncertainty. Mental pressure builds. Like all pressure, it will seek the path of least resistance. In other words, the mind will begin to develop a somewhat structured series of prioritized thoughts. The structured path of thoughts depends upon a sequential set of occurrences. For example, if a man discovers pleasure through acting out a certain way, thus the likelihood that he shall return to his new form of comfort. Do you understand yet? Ultimately, men build up an internal pressure, one that is primarily sex-oriented. Therefore, through his persistence, he will eventually become forgetful of his ability to reason. Logical thinking will become secondary. Lust would take over, causing his sole endeavor to seek mainly thoughts pertinent toward sufficing his addiction. Theoretically, drug and/or alcohol addiction operates in the same fashion. There is at first a permitted tolerance until it increases, forming a resting place in the psyche. So, men are attuned to think about sex. The vast majority of men wittingly accept the influx of sex-themed hidden information. Sex serves as the basis for male survival. Everything else is thought of as secondary. It's no secret that most men only think about sex. Just try to understand that the male has been programmed into doing so nonetheless. Involuntary, inappropriate behavioral responses will occur during male engagement. but it's fine so as long as you use the aforementioned techniques. Men are also attracted to the very essence of women. They are drawn by your spirit, energy that is different from their own. His motive is clear. He just wants to bang you and get laid. The human male's sexual appetite is comparative to that of the canine. The desire never really dwindles. In order for you to understand, empathy must be applied. Men will engage masturbation for the release of sexual frustration. Self-pleasure is a temporary escape route. Whenever you should notice the turnaround or stare-down method being applied, remember its purpose. It is done purposefully to quell his most primal instinct.